Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that every single one of us does. We learn. And we all have this picture in our heads of what progress is supposed to look like, right? A nice, steady, upward climb. But what if I told you that the real way we learn is actually a lot messier, and that the science totally backs this up? Just think about it for a second. When you decide to learn something new, let's say a new language, do you picture it like you're climbing a ladder? You master one thing, you step up to the next rung, then the next, all in this neat, predictable order? It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Well, for a long, long time, that's what science thought too. And this whole idea, this ladder of learning, it wasn't just a hunch. It was actually backed up by some really influential scientific studies that seemed to prove that we all learn in pretty much the exact same way. So at the heart of this were what are called the morpheme order studies. Back in the 70s and 80s, researchers found something fascinating. It seemed like people learning English as a second language all mastered the little bits of grammar, like adding an S for plurals or an ED for past tense, in the same exact order. And it didn't matter if their first language was Mandarin or Spanish or anything else, the order was always the same. And the takeaway from this was massive. It suggested that learning isn't just a personal thing. It's part of some universal grand plan, a kind of pre-programmed route that our brains are just hardwired to follow, a neat, tidy, predictable ladder for every single person. But what if that clean picture is just a mirage? And this is where the whole story takes a really sharp turn, because it turns out that this beautiful, simple, grand plan has one giant problem. It only seems to exist when you're looking at the average of a big group.
Okay, so take a look at this. This is data from a study that went on for 7 years. On the left, you've got Mandarin speakers, and their average progress was pretty minimal. But on the right, you see the Slavic speakers, and whoa, they show this huge jump in progress. It's like a perfect picture of that learning ladder we were talking about. The group average gives us this really clean, really clear picture. But that's where things start to get really weird.
So yeah, a super clear picture, right? But here's the million-dollar question. What happens when we zoom in? What if we stop looking at that nice, neat average and start looking at the actual, individual people who make up that group? Now get ready for this. This is the same Slavic group, the one whose average showed that beautiful, steady improvement. But look at their individual paths. It's a total mess. Some people shot up, some actually got worse, some pretty much stayed the same, and others were just all over the place, up and down. It is a chaotic tangle of completely unique journeys. And this just nails the point home. The researchers themselves said it best. Not a single person in the group actually followed the average path. That smooth, upward climbing ladder, it was a statistical phantom. It described the group perfectly, but it didn't describe a single real human being. Okay, so if learning isn't a ladder, then what in the world is it? Well, researchers are now looking at a powerful new idea that explains this messy reality a whole lot better. It's called dynamic systems theory. So to put it simply, dynamic systems theory, or DST, says that learning isn't some pre-written script that your brain follows. It's a process that just emerges in real time from all the complex and unpredictable interactions of everything about you. Your brain, your body, how you're feeling that day, the room you're in. It's not linear. It's dynamic. So yeah, we need to just throw that ladder metaphor out the window. What's a better way to think about it? Well, for one, learning is a lot more like the weather. Think about it. You have countless different factors, temperature, pressure, humidity, all interacting constantly. A teeny tiny change in one thing can lead to huge, totally unpredictable results down the line. We can spot general patterns like, seasons, but we can't possibly predict the exact path of a single storm. Or here's another great one. Think of a child learning to walk. We used to think it was just their brain maturing on some set schedule. But dynamic systems research shows it's way more than that. The skill of walking emerges from the interaction of muscle strength and balance and bone growth and their motivation to get that toy and even what kind of floor they're on. It's this amazing, holistic, self-organizing process. And this brings us to what might be the most powerful idea of all. All that messy, up and down, unpredictable stuff in learning? It's not a bug. It's actually the most important feature. So the old way of thinking looked at all that inconsistency, the good days and the bad days, and called it noise, or an error that we needed to get rid of. But the new view, it flips that completely on its head. It sees that variability as the actual engine of learning. It's a sign that your brain is actively trying things out. It's exploring. It's reorganizing itself.
As the research puts it, if there's no variability, there can't be any development. A system that's perfectly stable isn't learning, it's just static. That messiness is a sign that the system is unstable in a really good way. It means it's getting ready for a breakthrough.
And you see this cycle everywhere. I mean, think about learning to ride a bike. At first, you're wobbling all over the place, right? That's high variability. Then, as you practice, things get smoother. You stabilize. But then, you try to ride on gravel for the first time. Bam! The wobbling comes right back. Your system is being challenged, and it has to reorganize itself to handle this new thing. Once you master the gravel, you get stable again. That messy, wobbly period was absolutely essential for you to get better. Okay, so this is all really cool theory, but what does it actually mean for you, for me, for our kids, for our students? Well, the implications are actually incredibly freeing and empowering. So what's the big takeaway here? First, and this is a big one, your messy, up and down, sometimes backwards learning journey is completely normal. Those bad days are part of the process. One source called it uncountable regressions and unexplained abrupt advances, which I just love. Second, you can pretty much forget those neat stages of learning you see in books. They describe an imaginary average person, not you. And finally, for any teachers or coaches out there, this is huge. When a student is inconsistent, it's not a sign of failure. It's often a sign that real, deep learning is actually happening. So please, stop comparing your journey to some imaginary, perfectly straight line. Your path is yours and yours alone. It's not a ladder you climb. It's a dynamic, unpredictable, and honestly, a beautiful story that you are creating with every single try.
And all this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. If we really accept that every single person's learning journey is unique and messy and nonlinear, how does that force us to rethink our entire approach to education? How should we really be teaching? And how should we really be measuring success?